Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope you're safe and well. Welcome to Year 4 Maths for today. We're going to start off this morning with our usual 5-minute warm-up. 4 questions, 2 triangle questions will be answers to do in your head. Square questions will be answers that you can jot down on a piece of paper. Press pause while you're working, and then when you're ready, we can press play and we'll go through the answers together. Okay, press pause now. Okay, first question this morning, 323 plus 8. Again, about knowing number bonds to 10. First, I would be adding 7 to take it up to the next 10, or 330. And then I would add the remaining 1. So for the answer then, it would be 323 plus 7 would make 330, plus the extra 1 would make 331. 1/3 of 21. So what method did you use for this? We talked about this a couple of days ago. Remember, finding fractions of numbers, you would take the number, in this case 21, and you would divide it by the denominator of the fraction, in this case 3. So 21 divided by 3 would equal 7. 1/3 of 21 then would be 7. First written question, 37 times 3. Could do this a number of ways, but 2 that I would pick this morning would be abstract. For the first method, this is by far the most efficient method. 7 3s would be 21, but we must remember to carry that 2 over into the tens column. 3 3s are 9, and 2 would be 11. So that's the method I would be advising us use, or certainly we've been working towards using as the year's gone on. We might also want to use partitioning. If we partition 37, we would get 30 and 7. We would need to make sure, because we're multiplying by 3, we would need to make sure that we multiply both by 3. So 30 times 3 would be 90, 7 times 3 would be 21, then 90 plus 20, 1 would give us 111. And you can check that against the other just to make sure that you've got the right answer. Our final question this morning, and you'll have to excuse me because I've got the wrong number up there, would be 3 times 42 or 42 times 3. Remember, it's commutative. Again, similar to just now, abstract method, lots of you will be using. So 3 2s are 6 and 3 4s are 12. We could use partitioning again. It's a little bit trickier this time. I've partitioned the number up into 4 lots of 10, so 10 plus 10 plus 10, and then 2 on the end. And for each one, we would need to multiply that by 3 because that's the number that we're multiplying. So each one, 10 3s are 30, 10 3s are 30, 10 3s are 30, 10 3s are 30, and 2 3s are 6. Then we would recombine those numbers and it will get us 126. Now, if you're feeling super confident, you could have partitioned that into 40 and 2. And then it would be 3 lots of 40 and then 2 lots of 3, which would be 6. So you could have said, you could have done it that way. That would have made things a little bit more efficient. But it doesn't matter which way you've done it. Okay, we're going to be making links back to yesterday's lesson today. Our learning intention today is to be able to divide whole numbers by 100. Now, if you think back to yesterday, we were dividing whole numbers by 10. So this is the next step, the next little step forward, so to speak. Our star words this morning will be decimal, move, tenth, right, divide, hundredth, and whole. Now, during the course of the session, I imagine that we will be using these words at least once, probably more than once. Okay, our InFocus question this morning is saying that we've got, it says there that we've got blocks of soap. So it says there I start with 14 large blocks of soap. And it says there that we want to use all the blocks of soap to make 100 packs, all containing the same amount of soap. How much soap is there in each pack? So what's the question asking? Well, it's asking us to take the large boxes or packs of soap that we have here and divide them by 100. Okay, because we've got to make them up into 100 packs. Each pack has to have the same amount in them. They cannot have different amounts. So what key knowledge do we need? Well, we need to be able to divide whole numbers by 100. Think back to our learning intention, dividing whole numbers by 100. We're going to come back to this during the course of the lesson and then also again at the end. Okay, let's learn. The first thing we need to do is partition 14. Okay, so it would be 10 plus 4. Okay, so the first step is we would need to divide 10 larger packs by 100. Okay, each one of these we've divided up into 10 tenths. So we have got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. We've got 100 tenths here, 100 strips of 10. So if we were to divide that by 100, 10 whole packs, divide them by 100, we'd be left with 1/10 or 0.1. Don't worry, we'll come back to that as we move along. But then we also need to do the other part. So we've divided the 10 by 100. We now need to divide the 4 by 100. So we would need to take the remaining 4 blocks of soap and we would need to find 1/100th of each of those blocks. So 1/100th of each of these would be 0.01, 1/100th. And because we've got 4 of them, it would be 0.04. Now this means then that we've got 0.10, which was from the first part. This part here, we were left with 0.1 or 0.10. And then we have to add the 0.04 on. And that leaves us with 0.14 of a pack of soap or a block of soap for each person, for each of the 100 people. Now, that's pictorial. If we wanted to show that now, we wanted to show you what we've done. What have we actually done? Well, we are taking 14 whole blocks of soap and we are dividing them by 100. We are going to have to move that number. Now, when we divided by 10, we move the number 1 place. An easy way of remembering that is there's 1 0 in 10, so we move it 1 place. When we are dividing by 100, we have to move the number 2 places to the right. 2 places to the right. So we are, and again, easy way of remembering that, there are 2 zeros in 100, therefore we have to move it 2 places. So if we look at the grid that we have here, we've got 14, and we are going to divide it by 100. So the 4 will be moving into the 100ths column, and the 10 will be moving into the 10ths column. And you can see that we've done that here, which leaves us with a 0.14. Now, if we're going to show that in an abstract way, 10 divided by 100 is 0.1, 4 divided by 100 is 0.04, and when we 14 then divided by 100 would be 0.14, which is what we showed in picture form just now. So you've got, this frame is a really good way of understanding and moving these numbers. Pick a number. What I want you to do is to think really hard in the next couple of minutes. I want you to pick a whole number. Can you divide that number by 10? So think back to yesterday. Going to move that number one place to the right. We're to divide it by 10. Then divide the same number by 100. So first you're going to divide it by 10, and then you're going to divide it by 100. What do you notice? So have a go at dividing first by 10 and then by 100. So you're moving it one place to divide it by 10 to the right, and you're moving it two places to divide by 100. What do you notice? Press pause while you're thinking, and then play when you want to talk, or listen to me talk about what we've noticed. Okay, welcome back. So what have we noticed? Well, if I took 12, for example, and I divided it by 10, and then I took 12 and I divided it by 100, this is what would happen. So if I took 12 and I divided it by 10, I would be moving it one place to the right. So 12 divided by 10 would be 1.2. If I was dividing 12 by 100, then I know I've got to move it two places to the right. So 2 divided by 10 and 1 divided by 10 there. So we end up with 12 divided by 100 leaves us with 0.12. Okay. So what have we noticed about these numbers? Well, hopefully you've noticed that the digits are always the same. If you move the numbers to the right, it doesn't matter. Nothing changes about those numbers. So you will have the same numbers. They will just be in different columns. Okay, looking at our work for this morning, it's now your turn for your independent learning. I want you to have a go at completing worksheet 17 on pages 33 to 35 of your workbook. When you're completing the task, press play on the video, and then press pause on the video. And when you're ready to move on to the next part of the lesson, then press play. Okay, hopefully you found that okay. And what we're going to do is move on to our plenary. Now, we've got to the end of the unit now. We've been working through decimal numbers over the last 3 weeks. We're nearly at the end. What we're going to have a little look at this morning is this little checklist. Now, this checklist you can find on page 58 of the textbook. We don't want you to write in the textbook, but we want you to look at each of those statements. Have you been able to do all of these things? What we want you to do is to discuss your learning with either your adult or another person in your house, and look at your workbook, look at the statements. Have you been able to do all those things? Is there anything that maybe you don't feel quite so happy about and you might want to look at it again? Are you able to do everything? And if you are, fabulous. So we'll leave that with you. Have a little look at it, and then I'll see you in the next lesson where we'll be starting our new unit of work. Okay, thank you then. Have a good day and stay safe.